Read it. Can you read it? Art. Excuse me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this channel. I don't know where I put my glasses. Um, guess I'll wear these. Oh, how y'all doing? So I finished my second official day of muggling. It was today was the third day, right? Or was it the second day? Today is Thursday. Second day. Finished my second day of muggling. It wasn't as bad as it was yesterday. Not that it was bad yesterday. Um, so I took my calendar today. I set it up in my little office. I got a notepad and some post-it notes, some sticky notes from the supply room, from the stock room. Um, I found a little USB fan thing. I grabbed it. It feels homey. It feels like I feel like I'm really excited by the potential of this. It feels wide open. It feels wide open. And there were some things that I was worried about that I'm less worried about today, because I spoke up and turns out I'm capable, which is awesome. So anyway, I had to pull off like 2 months of papers because it was literally on like July 2nd, and now it's September 2nd today. And some of them were really good. I brought two of them home. I'm going to take them back tomorrow and keep them in the box. The first one is from August 24th. It's a question. Why is twice 10 like twice 11? And because I'm me, I'm going to pull cards. Because twice 10 is 20 and twice 11 is 22. I was like, oh, that's funny. And then another one, it was on August 26th, which was Women's Equality Day. It says a woman's guess is much more accurate than a man's certainty. And that's by Rudyard Kipling, who's an English writer. I thought that was hilarious. A woman's guess is more accurate than a man's certainty. Which, just in terms of like intuition versus reason, there's something about something learned or something taught versus an understanding. And the understanding, the knowing, is more accurate than the teaching because the teaching is mostly theoretical. Sometimes there are um, things sort of happen to line up in a way, but it's almost like a happy coincidence and not necessarily pure causality. Anyway, I'm going to be going in earlier tomorrow and I'm tired. So I'll be getting tired around this time anyway. Hey, Holly. Hey, Linda. Hey, you did. You are. I was like, I've been getting tired of super early anyway. I might as well go in early, get out early, start my 3 day weekend early. This is my first 3 day weekend. It'll be my first weekend since I started working. What do I want? I wanted to pull the energy oracle cards for this one because it has the thinking man and the thinking woman. I don't know if I'm going to pull before and after the thinking man and the thinking woman. Also, in general, I think I've noticed. Well, I noticed it a long time ago, but I haven't said anything in a while. It is. I'm like, yes. And then yesterday she was like, oh, just to let you know, like we have Monday off. I was like, okay. I was like, I assumed we had Monday off, so I wasn't gonna be here. But it's good to know that we actually have it off. Because in the probationary period, it's like if you no call no show, you just gone. You're terminated. I was like, oh, okay, well, shoot. Oh. Appreciation, the door to value, and the magician in the mirror. Interesting. And the woman holding a heart behind that with strategy and caring connections. So yeah, it doesn't seem like it's too bad. It's just like a lot. But it only feels like it's a lot because things are in transition right now. But anyway, let's see what comes out for these. I used to do this. Oh, that's what I was talking about. So I've noticed that it seems like whenever I sort of read, especially when it's more personal, um, I feel like I have a lot of action based readings. It's like this needs to happen, that needs to happen, and once everything is complete or together, or once everything is in motion, then this subsequent thing will happen. Because I have a friend who I read for twice a year, and whenever she's like, "Hey, like I could really use like some cards," I'm like, "Okay, girl." Um, and but she's like really active. Like she works a lot. I feel like our paces are similar in that way. I feel like I don't necessarily settle too much, even though I don't necessarily do a lot lately. But it's all potential. And especially it's like if in the course of the reading, it's like if like I don't know why I feel the need to talk about this, but it's like if you're at point A, point B is gonna happen or point B is coming, and if you do this, then you'll get to point C. And it's like it's active, right? So you have to be at A, then get to B, or be at A for B to happen, and then you get to C. It's not just like you live life, you don't do anything different, and then everything changes. But, you know, that's why I don't necessarily like mind super active readings. Because again, it's like, well, or why things are different for different people or something. I don't know. They came out. Caring Connections and the Healer of Ages. Ooh. 14 and 51. Oops, hold up. Caring Connections and the Healer of Ages. Healer of the Ages. Healer of the Ages. Came out. Bottom of the deck is sixth chakra Archangel Metatron. Oh, that's the Magician in the Mirror card I'm thinking about. This reminds me of attachment in the I Ching. I think it's number 30. or clinging. It reminds me of clinging in the I Ching. And it's the energy of like clinging is auspicious if the fire within you is greater than the fire outside of you. And it's like it's okay to want, it's okay to desire, but not if those wants and desires. Let me just read it. Oof, I'm still only 53% done with that. I need to go back and listen. Maybe I'll listen tonight. Let me turn on the whatchamacallit. Okay. I think it's number 30. It's double fire. I know that much. Yeah, it's number 30, attachment. So it is attachment here. It's clinking in the Tao Oracle. So it's emotional attachment and clinging. You are clinging on emotionally. You hope you can depend or rely on one who you have attached yourself emotionally to. Yet, for the matter at hand, clinging is auspicious. Nurturing and caring for the fertile cow will bring prosperity. Though you cling, do persevere. You must burn with fire from within and not rely on the external burning of fire. The luminous fire must start from within and burn outward. Clinging and emotional attachment is auspicious if the inner fire itself burns bright. And it feels like that is in this energy. Um, ooh, hostilities is behind. I'll take it because hostilities is 26 and deceit. Oof, what? Oh goodness. Oh, this is a whole story. So I picked up the this card to show these two together, and then I saw hostilities behind Metatron, and I took it because it's number 26, and this is August 26th, so there was some synchronicity there. And then behind that was deceit, and it felt like deceit and hostilities were connected. And then the thinking woman was here. That's why I went, what? Because the thing is that a woman's guess is much more accurate than a man's certainty. And I was like, I'm going to use this because I have the thinking man and the thinking woman. But the thinking man or the thinking woman is behind deceit and hostilities. And if it's like, oh, well, like maybe deceit and hostilities are like before the thinking woman, well, after the thinking woman was contract and attachment, which is 5 and 6. And then 25 and 26 is deceit and hostilities. So I'm like, okay, so she blindfolded and attached to something and wearing a mask. And then Archangel Uriel, seventh chakra, is number 41. That mirrors the 14 and carrying connections. So that's why I'm stopping here. This is a lot, though. Do I think they're connected or do I feel they're connected? Um, Not necessarily. I feel like they're not necessarily connected because I mean it feels like they're connected in a way that like one is a result of the other one. But it's like with the healer of the ages energy, like it's connected to all of the chakras. Um, like your root should improve, your heart, solar plexus, sacral, crown, like all of them, with this healer of the ages energy. But it just feels like reaching a point where you begin to see Hootie. No. I'll have to read that later. I was just thinking of her today for some reason. I don't remember why. Because I feel like if they were connected, then this would feel more like this energy is somehow leading to like the third eye being open. Like this is a person or an energy that's coming in to clear up your third eye. But it feels like with these two together, carrying connections and healer of the ages, you'll be able to see things more accurately with this third eye energy. So yes, I guess yes. And it feels like before this healing and before this it feels like before this healing, this level of intimacy, just in proximity, isn't no problem. This level of closeness isn't possible without this healing. And it feels like the distance between the two of these parts of you or energies or whatever, it allows for misconception and misperceptions and like the deceit and the hostilities. This is what happens when they're not together. And it feels like it plays out in the battleground of the third eye. That's why, like, and it's always taken as it resonates. But for me, I feel that it's important to have a balance between the heart and the mind, because the heart can be swayed kind of sort of more easily than the mind can in some ways. And a heart will lead people to do crazy things that they have no business doing for whatever reason. It's all things in balance. Now, a healed heart, I guess, is one thing, but I don't know if, I mean, this y'all lives. Y'all do what y'all want to do. But that's the thing about clinging, too. So I think more often than not, we as people aren't in a position, like our heart isn't in a position where it takes priority in everything that we do. And it's sometimes the ill state of the heart that manifests certain things. And with that clinging, like hostilities and deceit, this is what happens with all of this energy, right? Because even with contract and attachment, this is what happens when your inner fire isn't bright, when your inner fire isn't healthy. Then you get lost in this. And it's like it causes you to see things that aren't necessarily there. And it makes you more susceptible to man's certainty. And it feels like that's like human certainty. It feels like if that proximity is there between the man and the woman, then she can read this and she'll be like, that doesn't make sense. Like I know that it sounds logical. You have a really good argument, but it's full of flaws. It reminds me of that one class I took where we learned about logical fallacies and stuff like that. But it's like, if it sounds good enough, you just go with it. you can get a lot of people to do a lot based off of partial truths. And that's the deceit. And then it feels like the hostility in some way, it's internal. It's almost like you have a spiritual, etheric, energetic immune system. And whenever you take in beliefs that don't resonate with the truth of you, it causes reactions. Just like you would have an allergic reaction or you would get sick physically. It's like there's an allergic reaction or you get sick spiritually or energetically. Hey Malika. And again, it feels like it's things that make sense. And so you buy into it. And then it feels like you can also sort of misattribute the causes for those diseases, I guess, or uncomfortabilities, for that friction. And that's why we got the third eye and the crown chakra. Like the higher two chakras are the ones that came out as needing the healing, I guess, because the healer of the ages is here. And I feel like a lot of times we work on like base chakras and we neglect the higher ones. But like all of the chakras are connected. So if your root is messed up or if your heart is messed up, then it's going to interfere with your third eye and your crown. You're not going to see things accurately. You're not going to receive things accurately. You're going to see and receive in the way that suits whatever is ailing you. Right? It's no different than like being triggered by other people. If there's something in your own life that you don't face or want to face or that you know but you don't acknowledge and you get triggered because someone else says it, it's like it's literally the same. But what we do is it's like we play mental spiritual gymnastics to try to keep our like to try to keep ourselves relatively the same but drastically change our experience and the people that we connect to. And it's like I don't know, it gets us to agree to things, I guess, and it's a very, very, very partial. It's like you don't understand. Like, let's say the contract has 100 terms, and you see like one, two, or three that you really like, and those are the ones you focus on. And it's like you're not even aware of the other 97 things, but because of that root or sacral or solar or heart or throat or third eye or crown imbalance, it's like you fall into things sort of lump sum. And it's like, again, if everything was like online, she would be like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not going to agree to that. Hello? But it's the attachment to whatever. Hey, Ariel. Yeah, that's why it's like, I don't know. I personally feel that some forms of spirituality has done a lot of people a great disservice, but that's fine. We all have our own like lesson, and we also have our own paths and journeys. So that's not necessarily true. It just seems that like we overly focus on some things, not necessarily knowing that everything is connected, and then we do a lot of like triage, band-aidy type things to make ourselves feel better in the moment. But we don't go for the root of anything, and since we don't go for the root of anything, there isn't any room for a substantial, deep healing to the point where it's like growing up in the church. It's like deliverance. Like I was delivered from this. I no longer have the craving. I no longer even think about it. And it's not something that you struggle with because it's healed. And it's all about Again, it's very, very selective of what it wants to see and of what it wants to experience and what it doesn't want to see and doesn't want to experience, to the point where it sets itself up. That's why I personally, I mean, I've never found someone that I like 100% everything they say resonates, but for a lot of things, I just like to go and discover it myself. It's like being locked off your intuition square as a divine feminine. Sometimes the masculine can make you second think your gifts are knowing. I hope that makes sense. I think I agree partially, but the energy that's coming out here is, it's like it's wrong. It reminds me a while ago. Someone read an entry. I forget what the card was, but it was like, if all of your knowing doesn't lead you to a significant improvement in your experience in your life, if all of your knowing doesn't get you what it is that you're looking for or wanting, then abandon your knowing, because obviously something isn't right. And again, it feels like, because the thing about like clinging is auspicious, attachment is auspicious if the fire inside burns brighter. But it feels like the fire of a lot of people doesn't, because of trauma, blah, 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 whatever. Like, choose. And that's where that etheric, spiritual, energetic immune system kicks in, because it's like we want or need to believe something a certain way because whatever reason. But in reality, it's like it conflicts with the natural energetic structure. And so it's like maybe sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's not very reliable. And it doesn't get you what you want completely. It can feel like a very genie in a bottle energy, but like the tricky genie, like a monkey's paw or whatever, when the dude's like, I want $20,000. And then someone shows up at his door with a check for $20,000 because his son was killed at work. And that was like his life insurance policy. And it reminds me of that details card in the energy, in the enchanted map oracle cards. And it's just like, we're coming into an energy, we're coming into a time where it's like, because a lot more things are possible, because things are getting easier, it requires us to be more everything if we want to engage with the energy in that way. It's like, if you want the training wheels to be taken off your bicycle, then you're going to have to stop falling and like actually ride the bike, or else like the training wheels are going to stay. And it's not something that you can force off with belief. It's not something that you can force off with dogma or ritual or anything else, because it's like, and it goes back to that ask body with fate energy and paradox at the time. It's because everything, at least on to this level, the spiritual has to match the mental, has to match the emotional, has to match the physical, has to match the energetic, has to match, like, everything needs to be in resonance and everything needs to be in alignment. But it seems that, and again, like, I've only been on my spiritual journey for a few years. I started mine more intentionally in 2019. And so I don't know what it was before then, but especially last year, it seems like a lot of words. It's a lot of words and no real alignment. It's a lot of words and no real action. It's very empty. It lacks substance. And this is very substantial. It has to be substantial or have some kind of weight to it if it's going to affect the physical, because the physical is dense AF. And it's almost like no matter how hard the wind blows, it's not going to move a mountain. It can slowly like away at it over time, but then it's just like it disintegrates. It doesn't move. It removes it in a way. But I think for me, that was also the gift of starting my journey later. That was the gift of me starting my journey closer to when like everything shifted and changed, because I was less rooted in, anchored in, ingrained in everything prior. And I don't have as much like belief to work through. And for the ones who've been doing it for a while, it's like thank you, because like what you've done set the stage to like do what happened, and then that set the stage to do the next thing, and that set the stage to do the next thing. But if you stay where you were, you're going to be left behind. It's just like anybody else who's stuck living in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, or 50s. But they're like energetic 1920s, 30s, 40s, or 50s. And again, it's like other things have moved on. And so this next one, why is twice 10 like twice 11? Because twice 10 is 20 and twice 11 is 22. It's almost this energy. Yeah. And I mean, like, it's also like very much so what I believe personally, based off of what I experienced or what I observed in other people's experience. And like last year was a lot, regardless. But at the same time, and then it was what, like the beginning of last year when a bunch of readers or whoever were like, oh, like, I'm going back to whatever because it was this, it was that, and it was the other thing. And I'm just like, well, how did you lose yourself enough to be completely sold on and to completely buy into things that are so super like not whatever? Like, how did you get so lost within yourself? And that's what happens when that internal fire is weak. We just get swallowed up by larger flames. We buy into what other people are buying into. We believe what other people believe. And I don't know. It's like maybe it works for a time, but if things change and shift and move, then you got to change and shift and move with it. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want more certain results, then it's going to require something. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes I can be harsh, but like I'm not really judgmental. It's just like for me, it's just like I understand that like this happened and that happened, but at the end of the day, sometimes with life, it's like the excuse isn't going to get you a solution. And so if you want whatever, you're still going to have to end up doing it. But you know, I'm kind, a lot kinder to myself now, especially. But it's also like, okay, like if I want anything, I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to do stuff. What deck do I want to use for this one? 10 and 11. 10 is the number of completion. 11 is the number of awakening. Is there a completion and awakening deck? What's the most like awakening deck I have? The Osho Zen. I'm feeling it. Or the in between tarot was like right there. But this isn't an in between energy. It's like it was very effective for the time. It was effective for the energy. But again, it's like the times have changed, the energy has shifted and moved. So we can keep trying to stick to outdated methods that don't work, or we can get with the times. Wait. Oh, I guess not. I guess not. And again, it's like with that caring connections, it's like I don't know. It's like Earth in the past. It never really allowed for this energy. And it's like even the beliefs and stuff then. Because my thing is like if a belief was valid and if the belief gave anyone as much control over their own reality as they said it would, then it's like I feel like a lot of the stuff that we experience we would no longer be experiencing. And a lot of those beliefs are old. I don't know. I think it's also like we can be really quick to cast aside the mind or to cast aside the physical in favor for the other thing. It's a very north node, south node energy. Where it's like it's not to be purely physical or purely spiritual, but it's to find the point where they both align. And there are some high spiritual concepts that just don't translate the same because we're in a very physical experience. And there are some high physical logical concepts that don't translate because like we're also living spiritual and emotional lives. It's like finding the Venn diagram where they all align. That's where the magic is. I guess the magic is in your understanding of where everything aligns because that's when you get to go in and you really get to work. Otherwise, it's like you're trying to force things that have no anchor into reality or a very weak one. And so you'd have to work even harder to get it to actually manifest. But what do I know? So 10 and 11. I do 10 at the top of the deck and 11 at the bottom, and I'll take two cards because it's twice. And I'll give it one more. Okay. Ooh, bottom of the deck is the Lovers. The Lovers is like a meeting space. So the 10 is coming out with creativity, the Empress, and the Miser, which is just like selfishness, right? A lot of times we create for, or a lot of times we want to manifest for ourselves. Or we're manifesting out of lack. And it can be lack of anything. It could be like a lack of love, or a lack of appreciation, or a lack of companionship, a lack of friends, a lack of money, a lack of self worth and self confidence, a lack of anything. Like those are the spaces that we've created from. And then the 11 is coming out with the dream and the creator. And it's interesting because it's like both 10 and 11 are new energies. but one is like fully in it. The other is like in between. I feel 10 is very like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And 11 is like that first moment where you're like both feet in, like fully in the pool. And that it like it feels perfect for this energy. This is very like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Half in abundance, half in lack. Half healed, half not even trying to be. And it's the disparity between the two that allows for everything that we feel. Oh, look. In the dream, this person is dreaming. It feels like this person is dreaming with others in mind. And the creator is like, okay, like that I can make happen. That I can make work. This encounters very little resistance. And I think another thing too is it's almost like rather maybe it's like rather than viewing ourselves as creators or co-creators on blank canvases where nothing exists and everything is whatever, it's like we should view it may be more beneficial or there may be something to learn and viewing ourselves as creators and co-creators in a space where there are like creation already abounds, because then it's this energy of like how does what I'm creating or how does what I put into the world or how do my actions influence the things that already are, rather than just like conjuring it into being. That's the selfishness. It doesn't account for the things that are already here. And it's like if there's no place for it, if there's no room for it, then the natural, the dense, the physical, it's not going to feel necessarily pressured to bring you what you want. Because there are a lot of people who are manifesting things for very selfish reasons. And we've done selfishness before, we've done self centeredness before, we've done like that. It's like a lot of things they've already been done. And so it's like that energy is already here. And for me personally, it's like sometimes we manifest a certain opportunity and it sets the scale. It gives us a coin, but it doesn't necessarily determine which side of the coin that we're on. So if you're okay with abundance and benefiting while the world around you falls apart, then what you're doing is you're creating a space where that's acceptable. So if you're the one whose world is falling apart while everything else is growing and flourishing around you, according to your system of belief, it's okay. You're in alignment. You're just not on the side of the coin you want to be on. And that's another place where like selfishness can bite us. That's how we set the scales of justice in our own lives. But we think that since we're the ones that are personally affected, that we deserve more. And it's like, well, energetically, it's balanced, right? Oh, snap. Thank you, Shayna. You can't hear me. I'll type it. I'll say thank you. Thank you. Enjoy. Excuse me. And that's why it's like it feels like this consideration is the thing that's different. It was on one of Russ's videos, I don't remember. And he talked about how he had an experience with the fire and how he made a humble request. And I was sometimes I'm like, maybe not Patrick. But I was like, I ask the weather to do a lot of things all the time. But when I personally ask for the weather to do something, I include my consideration with it. Right? It's like, well, if it hasn't rained in a while and the grass is thirsty, or if the clouds are heavy, then it's not all about me wanting to be dry. But if it falls into the greater, grander, what's ecosystem, then like, can you wait until I can get like home to a dry place, and then you can get your water, right? And I don't know, I guess learned to take that consideration into a lot of what I do. But also, like, for me, that was my thing. So makes sense, I guess. And true, it's like what's for you will never not be, but maybe there are some things that are for you to have in conjunction with other people having, so that collectively something greater can come of it. And if you're not in alignment with that greater collective focus, then you're not in alignment to receive what is for you, because it's for you to do this and you want it to do that. And then you doing that, it's like you could lose it in like 2 days. I don't know. You do that with storms? Yeah. I used to do it on campus like all the time because I had to walk everywhere. This isn't necessarily what I expected, but it's fine. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I'm the type of person, it's just like if the opportunity is great enough, I'm not going to sit here and just be like, this is coming and that's coming. Get so excited. I hope you're ready. Because it's like it can come and pass you up if you're not doing whatever you need. Like if you're not ready and positioned to receive it, you'll have to wait for the next one to come. And I feel like a lot of this old, again, it's like it never really positioned us. It never really moved us in significant ways in order to experience more to the magnitude that is possible now, at least. Or maybe it did, but it's like it took so long for us to get there because we took such incrementally small steps. And I'm kind of sort of an all at once type of person. So I'm like, I'll do everything. I kind of sort of work better when there's more to do sometimes, because if there's less, I'll procrastinate. I was like, oh, I got time to do it. I got time to do it. But I've gotten better at that over the years. So, and it kind of reminds me of that Two of Cups and the Mystical Dreams Tarot. How there's two people on the horse and one person on the horse. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like this is all about that attachment. Sometimes us getting everything that we want is detrimental to our well being in a funny way. Sometimes it serves us to struggle until we reach the point where we do or decide whatever. The door to value is behind this seventh chakra, Archangel Uriel. And behind that is the journey card. And behind journey is blossoming abundance. And behind blossoming abundance is the world. And behind the world is the garden and the gate. And indecision with the sun. And the woman holding a heart is behind this. This will be the thing that keeps you from it. It's outside of everything that you know and everything that you believe, or it's outside of most of it. And I'm always the type of person it's like, well, if what you know and believe to be true is true to the degree that you believe it to be, then like wouldn't you already have whatever it is that you're looking for? Oh, both of these are three. No, that's an 11 too. 2 plus 9 is not 12. Oh, 29:30. I didn't even notice that with the world and the garden and the gate. I think we can achieve a lot more as humans in this dimension than we think. We just get really, really, really creative about getting it. It's almost lazy. We get really creative and really innovative in very lazy ways. You don't have to go through your own healing. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. Just imagine it. Just close your eyes. Just hold that frequency and you'll just magically get there. But when the earth moves to get you there, and when you stay where you are, it causes a shock, it causes a tremor, it causes a tower. And then 9 times out of 10, people run from it. So I think it's very possible. We just haven't been, collectively at least, we haven't been in a position of doing the things, not to a substantial way, or not in a substantial degree. Yeah, and then here's Journey with blossoming abundance again, and like garden in the gate is literally like everything that you want is outside of the gate and you have the key, but she wants to stay inside because she knows stuff there or whatever. She's like, oh, I'll just grow my own. She's like, if you tell me that I got to be nice to somebody else and that I got to care about other people, I just grow my own fruits and vegetables. It's like, okay, girl, well, good luck with that. Oh, look, the 2 and the 3. 2 and 3, 29 and 30, 5 and 6, 25, 26, 40, 41. Do I think the second wave of things will it be what gets us on that path? I don't know if I don't think things can get us anywhere. I don't think anything outside of us can do anything for us, but motivate us to do whatever we got to do. And that's a choice. So, like, my hope and belief has always been in a collective that gets it and that gets it together. And it's interesting because I see some of the most, or especially last year, it's like I would see some of the most spiritual of the people in the collective, and it's like they're not moving just like nobody else. Like, no one is moving. Like, it's just as stagnant as it is outside. It's like, okay, well, that's why, honestly, for me personally, it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's interesting and it's weird how it feels like there's a lot of partial things that give partial results and that cause, in some ways, that energetic, spiritual, like allergic response. And it's like, this is not compatible. There's some, I don't know. I I wouldn't even know what to say, honestly, because my path and my journey has been my path and my journey. And for me, like I actively wanted the things that I was most traumatized by, like to surface so that I could heal them and so that I could be free from them. And I think sometimes some people, not you specifically, I think sometimes some people, it's like they want to heal certain things, but they don't necessarily want to go to the root. And then I think sometimes too, it's because I it was like the beginning of last year. And like there were a few people that was like, oh, it feels like spirit's gone quiet. It feels like our guides aren't speaking to us. Like, I don't know. And I would talk to them. And like literally what, 2 seconds, from like 2 seconds to 2 minutes to 10 minutes, throughout the point of that conversation, like literally every single person I talked to knew what to do. Maybe they had a reason to not do it. Maybe they didn't know how to go about doing it. And so they never started. I don't know. But every single person I talked to knew what to do. So it's like, well, what do you want spirit to tell you? What do you want spirit to do? Like, you already know. Maybe they just got to the point where it's like, okay, so like you want us to just like repeat the same thing over and over? Like, we've done that, girl. Maybe not. But for me, I guess I took advantage of the opportunity then and there to accommodate and acclimate to spirit just not talking to me the way that they used to not like holding my hand and like providing me step by step guidance. For me, I guess I put into practice at least trying to move in the direction and trying to do the things that I knew I needed to do, regardless of how vulnerable it made me, or regardless if like me standing in my truth or authenticity like brought something that I didn't want to end to a closing. Because at the end of the day, it's like I want different, I want better, I want more than I want to be comfortable, more than I don't want to be triggered, more than I don't want to face the hurt and the pain and the trauma of the past. And I like, there are some people who have like gone through, there are people who have been through very, very, very traumatic things. And I haven't experienced like some of those things, but I've gone through my own trauma and I've carried my own burdens and baggage. And like it reached the point where it was literally, if I continue to carry this anymore, I'm not going to be here. And I was like, okay, I got to do it. No matter what it is, I got to do it. And so I think it kind of sort of is that thing of like, we know. Now, depending on what your circumstances are, it may be difficult to do the things that you got to do. Because again, like when I did everything I did, I'm single, no, like no significant other, no dependents. And I mean, I was like hungry. I starved. I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent. But even in all that, because I was like, I need to get a job. I need to be able to afford this and pay for that. It was like, Patrick, like, if you do any of that, you're going to be too preoccupied to do what you need to do right now. So do everything that you need to do now so that when the time comes for when your resources are completely exhausted and when you have to reintegrate into the world, then it's like you've already done everything that you needed to do on the back end. I mean, I think for me also, oh, moment to moment and aloneness with inner voice and breakthrough. So, breakthrough, moment to moment, aloneness, and inner voice. I know for me, It seems, because I can only look at my path, journey, and experience and look at the outside of other people's paths, journeys, and experiences. But in that disparity, like one of the things that I kind of sort of find consistently is a difference in belief. And I think too, sometimes there are moments when you can see, and you could probably see it in me too. I think there are definitely ways where I can see like how what I believe is like influenced by other things. But I think that there are certain times when you can see where like someone will hold a belief because of it's just energy. It feels like certain beliefs align or are comfortable to receive because they play off of something within the individual. And so for me, like personally, I don't hold the belief that shadow work is never over. I don't hold the belief that I'll never be fully healed. I don't hold the belief that this journey is a lonely and isolated one. I don't hold the belief that I can't like be my authentic self and still have like a fulfilling physical life and a fulfilling spiritual life. I don't hold the belief that life is this infinitely repeating thing or it spirals so you experience more of the same but at a deeper level. I don't try. I hold a belief that it's not necessarily linear, but I believe that progression is possible and healing is possible. It may not be easy, it may be very difficult, but I believe it's possible. I don't use my beliefs to enforce a certain pattern in my experience. And I only say that because I've heard so many people say that it's like, we spiral, we experience the same things, but like on a different level. And it's like, I guess, like, if that's your pattern of belief, then you will. But also, too, like, I'm the type of person that tries to like take everything I can out of an experience. And I've had like some super karmic interactions, but I walked out of those super karmic interactions like not guilting or blaming or shaming myself. I actually like walked out with a lot. I walked out more comfortable in myself. I walked out more confident, more like a lot of things. And so, like, there was the part that recognized how that's a habit and a pattern that I play out, but I was also able to get so much more out of it. And I don't know, maybe since that's my belief, since it's my goal, I also know that like one of my beliefs was and is I want everything. And I know that wanting everything means that I'm going to have to do a lot of work, but I'm okay with that because I want what I want. And I want everything more than I want to be comfortable or like all those things I already mentioned. So if I have to face something, I face it because I want more. And I'm not going to, and again, like this could be it could be a limiting aspect to some of my beliefs where it's like you can have everything and not have to do anything. Maybe, I don't know. But like that's why it's like it's literally all the experience. The belief, the mental, the emotional, the physical, and how we sort of progress and change through all of those realms. And I think it reaches a point where like one will lag behind the other and the other will lead. And in that, it creates a disconnect where it goes back to that constructive interference. You can have something that would amplify something, but if they're in different phases, then it leads to destructive interference. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. And that's why, like, that's why I guess I come on here and I kind of sort of want to talk about my beliefs more because I do believe that beliefs influence your journey. Um, what was I about to say? Because, like, I think I actually realized a few days ago that I don't claim my journey as one of ascension because I don't necessarily feel that I have to move up the ranks to get closer and closer and closer to source. It's my like I believe or I see it as like source is found when we're all doing and being who and what we're supposed to do and be. It's found within the collective, not within the individual in the collective. And so it's not for me to be all of these things that are not me, regardless of how capable I am or not. And I also believe that I can use those beliefs to do certain things that just like right now in my life, I guess I'm not extremely interested in doing and being. Um, but like that for me was huge. That for me, I feel like it made so much sense why, even though my journey can be similar in some ways to other people's, it's like it's different. And how sometimes things can work like not the same. But again, I think too, it's like we really have to ask ourselves what resonates for us. It seems that a lot of times we just take on what someone else is saying or doing. And for me, it's like if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. I'm not gonna try to like make it fit. I'm not going to adjust my beliefs or abandon my beliefs or trade off my beliefs for something that doesn't. It just don't like work for me. And that goes back to when like the beliefs and the energy doesn't match your innate energetic spiritual soul. I want to say blueprint because it's the easiest. And so it's like, let's say that your blueprint is this outline of whatever, right? And when you take on other things, it's like you put them in your outline. But if there's something that goes outside of the lines, or if there's something where it's not filled in, you're going to feel where it's outside or where it cuts away at you. Or maybe not. I don't know. And that's why I just like, I don't feel pressured. Or like I'll take things in part. And then, but it's like, especially like if I'm in a conversation with somebody, like I allow people to believe whatever they believe because I'm not going to invalidate anybody's experience. But my thing is like, it feels like a game that's been so well played or so well manufactured that we actually work against ourselves most of the time and attribute that to something else. And then because of belief, it's like we can inflate things that have like little to no ability to actually impact us. But if that's where the beliefs lie, then it does. I don't know. It's like everything. That's why for me, paradox is like, okay, yeah. Paradox is perfect. And it isn't necessarily it feels like in some points it's very circumstantial. It's circumstantial being like in this situation or situational. It's very situational. In this situation it works, in this situation it works, in this situation it works. And it's just like with anything else, you kind of sort of like learn where to apply what. And when it's like you check for maybe like a situational resonance or a situational alignment, then maybe that would help people in some way instead of like, oh, this works in this one specific environment or in this one situation. So I'm going to apply it to everything. And then it's like if you encounter somewhere where it doesn't necessarily apply, it's going to give you apparent results. And you're going to be like, "Whoa, what's wrong?" And it's like, it's different. So we interact with it differently. Yeah, girl, that's like, I'm not trying to say nobody. I'm not trying to say nobody. But honestly, like, it's like between the transits and the Schumann resonance and these gateways and portals and the galactics doing whatever they're doing are like galactic portals. It's like, so y'all just like always gonna be effed up. Like y'all just ain't never gonna catch a break because it's always something. And like the Schumann resonance has been consistently abnormal for like a minute now. Like I got into Unite the Collective. Like early in my journey, it was like Cryon and then Abraham Hicks and then like Unite the Collective sort of came through. And honestly, I mean, I don't watch Abraham Hicks at all anymore. Cryon, I don't watch. Unite the Collective, I watch sometimes, but like as far as like personal resonance, it's just like. But anyway, like he was talking about the Schumann being off the charts like a year ago or more. And I guess it's like, well, okay, well, so at what point are we just gonna get accustomed to the new? I don't know. 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 For me, it's just like I don't know. I think also too in some ways, I don't know. I think I'm very like my nodal axis is Gemini Sagittarius, but I'm a North Node Sagittarius, South Node Gemini. So my nodes are opposite the transiting nodes, and they've been that way since May of 2020, and I felt it. I feel like my whole experience has just been just like the opposite. It seems in a lot of ways, um, but I think it was around then maybe where I'm just like, like I'm not even gonna try to find a reason or find the reason. Oh, that's why I brought it up. Cause like I don't. Like some things I literally just accept. I'm like, okay. Other things I'm like, I need to know why. Like, what's the logic behind this? What's the reasoning? What does this mean? And so for me, I kind of sort of play out that polarity of like accepting and questioning. But it's always resonance based. Like if I feel I need to know more, then well, I guess yeah. Maybe that's where I have disconnects with spirit because sometimes spirit may be like, look into this. You need to like, I'll get something, and I'll be like, oh, and I'll never do anything. I'm like, I don't know. But North Node Gemini is very like observational, very like experiential learning, and a lot less theory, like Sagittarius is. I just leave people to believe whatever they believe. So yeah, your North Node is Aries, South Node Libra. It is my very take it if it resonates, girl. But if your South Node is in Libra, going along with the collective is probably not the thing to do for you. Because I feel like North Node Aries is very much so like doing your own thing, and it feels like it would involve things that are passionate. It feels like it could be easy to fall into what other people are doing and not really be. It's just like it's fine, but just maybe not. But like, Libra is like seventh house energy, and you're being pushed into first house energy. So, but it's about the balance as well. So it isn't necessarily about completely like ditching the collective, or it's not about being so selfish that you're just like screw everybody else. But it is for you to take time for you and to do what you need to do for you, because you also matter and you're also important, and you shouldn't sacrifice your desires and what makes you like happy and what fulfills you because like other people like aren't into it or whatever. I don't know. I am not an astrologer. I do not. I don't know. Yeah. You were getting so frustrated too. You weren't honoring yourself or your individual spiritualism. And I think that's where I feel like quite a bit of frustration comes from that, especially when it's people that we trust, because it's like, well, I'm doing what they told me to do. I'm doing what they're telling me to do. I'm doing like it to a T, and I'm not getting anywhere. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe it doesn't work for you that way. It feels like, and I don't know, like I'm very much so like God, spirit, the universe, the divine, they know me. And it's like if energy itself knows me, then it's like, who am I to go against that and try to get into whatever someone else is doing to work with energy? It's like at a certain point, it's not really separable. I don't know. There's like so many layers, like everything. And that's the thing about like paradox, as well as like finding. But I think it's only paradoxical because as humans we sort of put this like, if it doesn't apply to everything, then it's invalid. It's wrong. It's not right. And maybe that's more South Node Sagittarius. Even though I feel like both, they're both mutable. So they both know how to be mutable. But it's like, again, it's very like situational. In this energy, it's like when in Rome, do as the Romans. When in LA, do as the Angelians. I don't know what you call them. When in Indiana, do as the Hoosiers. When in Australia, do as the Australians. And I feel like we've been conditioned to view that it's that like that very like weathercock sort of energy where it's like, oh, you're inconsistent, you're this, you're that, you can't make up your mind, you're a chameleon. I feel like there's a way to do it, and then there's a way to kind of sort of not do it. Like if you're in your authenticity, like for me, I'm mutable. I'm a Pisces sun. And my nodes are Gemini and Sagittarius. And so it's for me to be mutable. I am mutable. So I may be a little different in this situation. Like when I'm at work, I'm not necessarily going to be talking about stuff the way I'm talking about it here. But like that work, Patrick, is authentically me in that situation. This is authentically me in this situation. And I don't pigeonhole or force myself to be anything consistently for the sake of consistency. Because it's like, girl, well, like if it's cold outside, I'm going to put on a coat. If it's hot, I'm going to take my coat off. I'm not going to be out here sweating because somebody else can't. Like, oh my gosh, you're not wearing your coat. I don't know who you are. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to burn, so get over it. Or don't. I don't know. See ya, Holly. You were a Hoosier? What? Wait, did you say that? Maybe not. You were a Hoosier for 15 years? I was a Hoosier for more consistently. I was a Hoosier from 2015 to like 2020, basically. So for 5 years, I was in Indiana. I didn't even come home over the summer. But I think it's a many fold sort of thing. And for me, it's organic. For me, what's inorganic is just because like it's been something I've been hearing lately. So now I have to interpret what like inorganic and organic means to Patrick and Patrick's reality. And Patrick's reality, something that is organic is something that accounts for every season. It accounts for all of the changes and all of the phases and all of the cycles in life. And so it grows and evolves and it changes as things change. Something that is inorganic is something that remains the same, regardless of where you put it. And so I think sometimes, again, it's like we can have these super fixed, even beliefs that it's like, well, if times are changing, if things have progressed, and those beliefs haven't, it doesn't account for the dynamic flow of life. Hoosier is somebody from Indiana. Indiana. I said Hoosiers because I was first. I was like, "What's a Hoosier?" And it's a person from India. I was like, "They ain't Indianians." Wait, maybe you did say that. Maybe you didn't. I feel like Indianapolis. I feel like I've heard that maybe. Anyway, like all of this is like most of this is like my beliefs personally. And my beliefs influence the way I read these cards. So if it don't resonate for you, don't take it. My whole thing is just like, even if it's just to provide a different perspective sometimes. Can I get a final card, please? Oh, I gotta be going to bed soon. I said I was going in at 6:30 tomorrow. Cause that's I'm working under people, right? I'm training. And oh girl, she was like, I usually come in at 5:30. I'm like, well, I'm glad I caught you when you coming in at 6:30, because 6:30 I can manage. 5:30, girl. So deceit came out with the man holding a heart. Deceit in the man holding a heart, it's like it's that energy of someone who's like so lovesick that they fall for like anything and everything almost. It's like someone who just wants to give their heart away, so they give it away to people who maybe don't even deserve it, or to jobs who don't even maybe deserve it, or to other situations and circumstances that don't even maybe deserve it. And it's that question of like, well, is it deceptive of the person or is it deceptive of you to yourself to engage with situations where you're not going to get what it is that you want? Or to hope or pray or believe that things are going to change, because free will exists and nothing is under any obligation to be what it was or is. Again, like life happens. Bottom of the deck is the goddess of the moon, which is 52. And envy is behind goddess of the moon, but anybody got time for envious energies? 25, 52, and in between is the man holding a heart. And I think that's a test in and of itself sometimes. It's like, will you stick to what you believe? Will you go for what you know? Or is your loneliness or is your desire going to push you to do something that you know isn't for you? And that's the balance. I don't know. It's rhetorical. Think about it. Or don't. It's your life. You have the right to do or not do whatever you want to do with your life. But laws exist. So, and energetic laws exist as well. And yeah, I don't know. Ooh. Going with the flow and intensity. Intensity. Going with the flow and intensity. There we go. That's interesting. This feels like it's multidimensional because the spiritual body, energetic body flows with the energy. The mental and emotional bodies flow with that energy. and the physical body flows with the energy. And so it's an understanding that, like, although sometimes energetically you're going to be in line with the energetics, physically you may be moving with the physical, and they may not match in pace. And it feels like that's the temperance, like that's a temperancy, divine timing sort of energy. But if we understand that, then it becomes, it's like it's less about waiting, because it feels like there are things to do in the physical to make preparation for that. And again, it feels kind of sort of Mars and Virgo opposing Neptune and Pisces. And it's how you receive it. The actions are going to be different for everybody. We all have different sort of paces, and we acquire different things along the way. Because when you get to your destination, like whatever you need may be different than what other people need. So they may not come upon the same lessons or opportunities or resources, but maybe they don't need it. Maybe you don't need it. So don't compare. The card that came out is the Nine of the Mind, and it's sorrow. It's sorrow when the way out is literally right there, literally right behind this young man. So, have you? It's fine. I know we all different ages, and I ain't trying to trigger nobody. But it's like when someone sees someone elderly, right? And age is age. When someone sees someone elderly and they're like, "Hey, young person," and it's like, "Girl." And then it's also personally that point in our own lives when we start to say years young instead of years old. Past lives and turning in. This is interesting. Mm, past lives and turning in. And then under that at the cut, it's the master and rebirth. And under that, it's the rebel in friendliness. I like the rebel in friendliness because it feels like this level of proximity and engagement, going back to Healer of the Ages and Caring Connections. It's like it's taboo in a way, almost. Almost. Why am I shuffling this deck? Oh, I wasn't shuffling it. I was just looking at cards in it. Oof, hold up. There it is. It was like this because there's the top. So Sorrow came out. Ooh, about preparing while divine timing is at like, ooh. Also, I'm using Outlook. I've anyway. Bottom of the deck is sharing and sorrow. I feel like again it goes back to that self-centered energy. And I love this. I feel like this is that part of clinging where it's like this is someone who is bright and vibrant enough to welcome things to her. This is someone who doesn't feel that same thing. And so they have very different experiences, right? Now, in the energy of attachment, this is the energy that we want to attach from because her within herself, she is fulfilled, she's happy, she wants for nothing. She needs for nothing. She has lots of wants and desires, and that's okay. She's Queen of Wands energy. This energy, like I wouldn't attach in this energy. That's where you get like codependency. That's where you get those energies of like, well, no one else like loves me or appreciates me, so I don't love me or appreciate me. No one else sees it, so I can't see it. Or it goes into overly proving, and I don't mean to be so insensitive, no thingness. But again, it's like literally the whole world is right there, but the person doesn't see it. They're afraid to turn around, or they shut themselves out from the world. And that feels like a human thing to do. It feels very human to isolate yourself and to shut yourself out and to not open up to anybody, to not be vulnerable with anybody, to never express any interest, but to at the same time feel lonely and sad because no one wants to be with you or no one likes you or no one this or no one that. While at the same time, when people actively try to get to know you, you push them away and it's like, okay, well, like at this point, it's self inflicted. So again, I don't mean to be insensitive, but it kind of sort of is what it is. Like I had a friend in high school. Um, there was some twins in high school, and there was the one like super social twin, and there was the one twin that wasn't at all. And I feel like sometimes like people would try to talk to her, and she would shut it down, or she wouldn't really engage. And then one day she was like, why doesn't anyone want to be friends with me? Like, why don't I have any friends?" And it's like, girl, whenever somebody tries to get to know you, you push them away. Like, how are we supposed to? Hello? But again, it's very human. This isn't what I expected. That's fine. Because again, at the end of the day, it's like the energy is what the energy is. And I mean, you can always take it as it resonates. You cannot watch if you are significantly triggered. Um, but it's just like, would I, an energetic and spiritual good conscience, be able to be like, I got this, and it was a little rough, so I didn't say anything. And maybe because I didn't say anything, there was something that you need to re examine or to look at. I re examine beliefs all the time. And sometimes they're reinforced. Other times it's like, okay, yeah, this isn't working. Other times it's like, well, maybe that person has something with their belief. And that's when, like, the situational, like where things fit, swap them in, whatever comes into play. Um, Nice to give the confirmation, Malika. Um, but yeah, it's just like, and it's like if they miss it because I didn't say or whatever, and also like it's people who like only do like the nice things. It's like, it's honestly it's a wild card over here. You never know what you're gonna get. I never know what I'm gonna say. I never know what I'm gonna receive. But again, it's like I remember last year. I think it was in February. I think it was either January, February, or March. I think it was February, and I think it was the second decan of Pisces or the third decan of Pisces. It might have been Pisces season last year. It was this energy of like, right now, it's like we're setting the scale, we're setting our side of the scale, and it was back then, but if it resonates, it resonates. We set our side of the scale of justice. The universe sets the other side by offering us different experiences that we can either take or not take. And it was this energy where it's just like, I would really, and the feeling resonates true still today. I would really hate for someone to do all of the work to manifest an amazing opportunity and to have it fall apart because of something that they didn't do. Or it's like something that you could have healed but you chose not to, an opportunity that you could have taken but you chose not to. And it was like, it feels like with this opportunity, and again, it was back then, but it felt like with that opportunity, whenever it came in, we would know that we were literally the only thing that stopped us from getting it. It's that, like, that was mine. It's the was it the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Swords and the Tarot of Dreams? It was the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Swords and the Tarot of Dreams. We shield and guard and protect ourselves from whatever, to the point where when the good things come in, we don't see them until they're in the rear view mirror. Until they're in the rear view window mirror, it's a mirror. Until they're in the rear view mirror, and they were like, "Oh wait, like that was it. That was a good opportunity. That was the thing. That was like that's what I was manifesting." And I know that people believe that, like, what's for you is for you, and it'll never miss you. It'll never pass you by. But I also believe that we can forfeit a lot of things in our life, a lot of good things. But ultimately, it's like if we forfeit it, then we weren't ready for it in the moment, and it probably would have fell apart anyway. Which goes back to the action thing that I was talking about. Because if we do what we need to do while everything else is doing what it needs to do, then we reach those points where we're aligned with the opportunity as it's aligned with us. And then we move forward into something better. And I think sometimes I believe that the divine prepares us for those things, sometimes by challenging us. But it's like if it's outside of your comfort zone, whatever you're asking for, then it's probably going to be a challenge either way. So you can get like a series of more doable challenges to better position yourself to accept it when it fully comes in. Or you can not do those challenges and then try to make the leap when it comes in. And that goes back to that wide open energy that came out yesterday. It's like it's not that you're gonna miss it. It's just like the distance that you're gonna have to leap would be lower if you take steps in the meantime. Hey, Grace, Kali, Maya. But anyway, I was literally just about to end it, but it was good to see you. I got to be going to bed soon because I got to be up. I work at 6:30, which means I got to be up early. And I've been like trying to at least take a mindful like 2 minutes when I wake up, preferably like 5 or more, and just to like, I don't know. Anyway, I hope you all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make that which you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, or way you find, and yeah, I hope you do whatever you got to do, but that's part of the acting in alignment to make that which you wish to experience your reality. Because it feels like there's a lot of causality that makes certain things much more guaranteed if we do the things that we need to do to make them guaranteed, right? But anyway. I'll catch y'all later. Have an excellent whatever and have a better one soon. Hopefully.